So it's raining and you're driving down the street in the middle of a hurricane. It's raining really hard. And alongside the road, you spot your best friend who once saved your life and is desperate to get out of the rain, a little old lady who's sick and she needs to get out of the rain, and the love of your life. And you have one seat in the car. Who do you pick to put in the car? I'm going to give you the answer to that a little bit later in this video. But first I want to talk a little bit about confrontation. And there's many different definitions of confrontation, but most of them include the words hostile, fight, feud, or violent opposition. And one of the reasons that many of the people that I work with and speak with don't pursue steps to get more of what they want are because they don't like confrontation. A lot of the women that I work with even share with me that confrontation makes their voice shaky, and then they get really emotional and they don't want to cry at work when a confrontation with a coworker or a boss, so they just avoid it. And slowly this resentment builds over time that they ignore this confrontation more and more and more. And of course, then the feelings get elevated by the time they actually approach it and go to speak about it. But I like to create a reframe on confrontation. What if confrontation is not just in the way of you having and creating what you want? What if confrontation is the way for you to create what you want? So the Latin root of the word confrontation comes from confront, which literally means with face. So what if confrontation is actually just an opportunity to show up facing full on, full frontal, what you want and what is directly in your path, in the way of you creating it. So if you take this definition, which is with face, the root of confrontation doesn't have to be violent, doesn't have to be hostile, but it should be an opposition, and that's okay. So in other words, confrontation are the triggers, they're the red flags, they're the markers for your opportunity between what is in between you and what you want. If you weren't in opposition to the thing of which you wanted to confront, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be in your way. The reason that you feel some kind of opposition is because it's taking away something from you or holding you back from something. Sometimes the confrontation that we face is in the culture of an organization. Sometimes the opposition or the confrontation that we face is in the culture of our family. We're trying to lose weight. Sometimes the opposition or the confrontation that we face, not most of the time, is against our own fears, our own belief system, our own doubts. Every time that we're faced with confrontation, we show up with face, full frontal, to create an opportunity to move past it so that we're 1, 2, or 10 steps closer to what you want. So if you take the violent out, the hostile, the opposition out of it, and you just show up and face it, you can create opportunity to move forward. Now, the challenging part that in most confrontation, it seems to be that there are opposing sides, right? By nature of a confrontation, there's opposition. So if I work with you and you want to create and you want to face the confrontation that I'm posing to you, most times it can feel like your way or my way. And that leaves somebody feeling disappointed, which leads to the hostile fight or flight version of the definition of confrontation that so many of us understand and feel and experience. Certainly, if there's only 2 options on the table, and if you get what I want or I get what I want, you better believe I'm going to fight for what I want. Hopefully, you'll get too teary-eyed and emotional and back down so I can keep it my way, right? This creates that hostile fight version of our view of confrontation. But what if we were to think laterally? So if you and I enter into a confrontation and only one of us gets what we want on the outcome, then we're thinking vertically, strategically, analytically. We can only go one direction, and it better be mine. But what if we were thinking laterally? If you think bigger, then a confrontation is not just an opportunity for you to face what's in opposition to you and to create a solution to get what you want. It is also an opportunity for us to both get something better than what we had in mind originally. So let me give you an example of thinking laterally. In order to do that, the rain has started again, and now we're back in the car. So we are in the car. I shared this with you at the beginning, and you're driving down the highway and you find your best friend, the little old lady, and the love of your life, whom you only get this one opportunity to meet, and you have one seat in the car. Who do you pick? You might run through the options. If you're like my mom, that ruthless lady, she said that little old lady's lived a long life, so apparently she's out on the side of the road. My sister said, if your friend saved your life, he's probably strong enough to stand a hurricane, right? But then somebody's not getting what they want. But in lateral thinking, everybody gets what they want. So in this case, we're going to give our keys to the friend who's going to take the little old lady with him, and we're going to stand on the side of the road and wait for the bus with the love of our life. Here, everybody gets what they want. It's lateral thinking, thinking bigger, expanding your view, taking a step back in a different perspective so that you can create a better solution that eliminates the confrontation altogether because you're facing it and creating opportunity for everybody involved. I'm currently in the process of creating a weightless health coaching program, which is a program for health coaches to understand how to take the heaviness out of their marketing and building of their business to make it feel weightless and more fun. And my coach proposed to me as we were talking about this program and I was feeling a little bit stuck. He said, why don't you hold your weightless health coaching program in outer space? And little does he know, I've always secretly really wanted to be an astronaut, and I will go to outer space someday. But what a crazy concept. And the first time I read over it, I was like, haha, whatever, you're crazy, John. But I went back to it later and just happened to notice it again. And I thought, you know what, damn it, why not put it in outer space? So for a moment I sat back and I thought, okay, if my coaching program is going to take place in outer space, what would it look like? So I painted this whole big picture, and I imagined me and these 6 health coaches floating around without gravity, talking language and strategy, and fearless coaching. And what I came back to was, okay, so let's think, I don't want to say realistically because I hate that word, but if we draw from outer space, what am I taking away from that? Weightlessness and the actual bringing of the metaphor to life. Well, how else can I do that? We could go skydiving. And then I was thinking, gravity is a little different than weightless. Okay, scrap that. And I thought, what about a pool? Interesting, not quite spacey enough for me. And I thought, what about scuba diving? You're weightless in the bottom of the ocean. That can feel like outer space. So who knows, maybe this weightless health coaching program is going to have a scuba diving element. We're going to be coaching in the middle of the open ocean. It doesn't matter. Who knows? The point is, by thinking larger and opening up the space, you create all this extra room for lateral motion. Imagine if you're standing in a room and the lights are out and you push your hands on the wall in front of you and behind you, and it feels like you only have 2 feet in front of you. You're stuck in this little corridor. You can reach up because you can get your hands all the way up. So you're trying to start jumping, and you can't reach anything. And you get frustrated and you think, oh, my only way out of here is forward through this wall or backward through this wall. And I can't reach higher, so I'm stuck here. But then you decide to spread your arms out to the side and you notice, hey, I can't reach anything on either side of me either. And you begin to start feeling along that front of the wall. You find a light switch and realize there's a door to your right. That's lateral thinking. Instead of trying to only go one direction, you open up your perspective to find more options. And when you approach confrontation this way, it doesn't feel as scary or hostile or violent to take your confrontation and face it full on, full face as an opportunity to make it better for you and everyone involved. So take a second and reflect on where you have been avoiding confrontation, on where it feels like you're in violent opposition to either somebody that you work with, somebody that you live with, or even yourself and your own beliefs, and take a step back and see where you can open up your perspective and think more laterally. Sometimes it takes a little bit of support for somebody who's not inside your head. So if you feel totally stuck on this and you want to open up your options, please reach out to me in the comments below or email me through my link, which is underneath this video. If this video was helpful, share it with a friend, share it with a loved one, and absolutely take action.